Hey guys, welcome to Broad Street to Britain. We are live on X and the YouTube channel as well. Welcome if you're watching. Come and get involved with the show. We are live on the back of the Phillies going back-to-back road series wins. Exactly what they needed. Yes, it wasn't straightforward. It never is with the Phillies. Yes, they made us sweat. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, I don't think we've even got out of second gear yet. But the Phils are back at 500. They're grinding out these wins. It's not pretty. April never is. But we're back at 500. We're going back home. We're a 4-game thing against the Pirates and the Rockies. Okay, now let's start. Let's try and start the season. I am joined by my good friend Alex CARR. Alex, how are you, buddy?
Hi, Dave. Good to be back. And I like the new intro, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Looking good.
Thank you. Been busy in the off season. That was one of the things I've been working on. So guys, if you're watching on the YouTube channel or on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, get involved, get your comments in and I'll put them out on screen. And any questions that you guys have for myself or Alex, get them on there. It's a fan show. Let's get you guys involved. Alex, first of all, the Phils have grinded out a series win, back to 500. Feelings overall on that road trip and the series that we've just seen.
Emphasis on grind it out. I mean, the Phillies haven't scored more than 5 runs this season in a single game. It's been all pitching all the time, thank goodness. But I mean, it's very clear. Or at least it's clear to me what is going on here. The Phillies are trying not to whiff. They are trying not to whiff. They are trying to cut down on their chase. And it is very much manifesting in them looking at pitches down. I was about to say something not appropriate. Down the pipe. They are looking at pitches right down the middle, and especially the likes of Alec Boehm, the likes of Nick Castellanos, the likes of Trey Turner. Holy cow, Trey Turner is a head case right now. It's just they're overthinking it. They are overthinking it. They're trying to cut down on chase, and it's just they will regress to the mean eventually, but I think it's pretty much a miracle that they've come out of this this head cold at 500. They should have theoretically started much slower than this in the win column, and luckily their pitching has just been dynamite, despite the swath of guys whose velocity is just way down. I think that's more a product of the weather and the conditions the Phillies have been playing in than anything else.
It plays a factor.
But I mean, the pitching has just been dynamite. I mean, since that first series and since Connor Brogdon was DFA'd, it's been lights out. It's been really, really good. Even Zach Wheeler, who was just not on it the other day or yesterday, gave you 7 innings. Gave you 7 innings of 3-run baseball, right? Any normal day for the Philadelphia Phillies, that's enough to get you the win. Aaron Nola today, 6 innings, 2 runs allowed when he was very clearly not on his best, right? The fact that your guys can still go out there and produce at that level when it's pouring rain or it's freezing cold or anything in between is pretty formidable, and it's because of their pitching that they have managed to land back at 500. But yeah, overall, so many guys. I see a lot of pressing. I see a lot of guys just overthinking things. I think eventually you're going to see the bats pick up. Obviously, you will. This lineup's too good. It's too good not to hit.
And we've been here before. We've seen this last couple of years in April. We are perennial slow starters in April, which is why I'm not too worried about right about now. Come June time, and even last season, we were 9-10 games below 500 June last year.
Right.
We picked it up, but all the same, it's really frustrating. The runners in scoring position is a big problem. Go on.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, I said this. I just had to check if I was going to be right about this. That I said a couple of days ago, or maybe a week ago or so. I don't think it's a surprise at all that the Phillies, who have made deep postseason runs over the last 2 years, come out of the gate really slow. I don't think that is a coincidence. And a lot of people were like, well, that didn't stop the Diamondbacks from scoring 16 in their second game playing the Colorado Rockies. The Diamondbacks are now 5-7. The Diamondbacks have a worse record than the Phillies do. The Rangers are 6-5, but have played terrible teams to open up the season.
Yeah, Astros haven't started well either.
No, the Astros have started really poorly. I don't think this is a coincidence. I don't think that we are looking at a team that is just going to consistently come out of the gate slow if they're not making deep postseason runs. It happens. This is a thing, and it happens to the World Series winning team every single year because these guys give it everything they have in the postseason, and then they expect the same level of recovery is going to get them back to normal by the time the season's ready to start. They play an extra month and a half, and they play at 150%, and then they get a shorter off season, and then have to come back and compete at the same level. And it happens.
And on the flip side, again, look at the teams who didn't get to the playoffs last year. Pirates, again, have started hot.
And they started hot last year too.
With all the rest, who we see coming up. The Yankees, the Red Sox, who didn't get near the postseason last season, have also started hot. Tigers are 7-4. Angels are 6-5, top of the West. Yeah, the teams who have had the extra rest, apart from the Marlins, are already rising.
Well, they did make the postseason.
Okay. Well,
okay.
They made the wild card. They turned up at Citizens Bank Park anyway.
I feel bad
but yeah, there is no coincidence at all. Let's talk about the positives. The pitching, other than opening series, it's vastly improved. Nola today, 6 innings, 3 hits allowed, 2 walks. They were brutal. They're brutal conditions for pitchers, and both teams had it.
I'm 99% sure a Phillies starter has yet to allow more than 3 runs in a game.
What a rotation.
I'm 99% sure that's the case. Spencer Turnbull hasn't allowed a run. Chris Sanchez allowed 2 in both of his starts.
Yep.
Zach Wheeler, or he allowed 3 in his last one, but it doesn't matter. Zach Wheeler is Zach Wheeler. Aaron Nola. Oh, Aaron Nola has. Aaron Nola did. Aaron Nola allowed 4 or 5?
5? Is that the Freed game where he got lit up as well?
Yeah. Still gave you some innings. Okay, so maybe it's happened once. But in any case, I mean, yeah, the rotation is just dragging the rest of the team by its heels, trying to get you somewhere. So, it's working out.
Yeah, and those conditions out there were tough. Were real tough for Nola. I thought the knuckle curve at times looked deadly. And actually, yet again, it's just so the long ball. Aaron's mistakes are punished, as we've seen so often. But then I thought he recovered pretty well. Strikeouts weren't quite there. The conditions were tough, as we said. But overall, he's given you yet again 6 innings. Struggled in the first, then the 6th inning, again, a long inning for him, which held him back. But overall, in those conditions, can't ask enough. Strom's recovering nicely from his opening series. He's looking like the Matt Strom that we know and love too well. Soto allowed his first earned run this season, but on the whole, I'm really happy with the way Gregory Soto started this season.
Really good.
Again, the conditions didn't help. The Hoffman blew a save the other night. Allowed I
was sweating.
It was a sweaty, but this is a young man. Well, he's not actually that young, but this is a pitcher who's not used to the save role, the closer role. Got the save under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
Cash it in. Thank you very much. We'll take it. We are missing a closer, an out and out legitimate closer right now. And as much as we got frustrated with Kimbrel last year. At that first half of the year, he gave us some big saves. First half of the year, he gave us some saves.
Unbelievable in the first half of the year.
It's a tough role to fill.
He was untouchable.
The All-Star break, he was mighty.
I think everybody forgets that too. But I think what you're gonna see is, listen, right now, I think it's probably gonna be Jeff Hoffman. That is at least what Rob Thompson has shown in his hand thus far. I think. All you need to know about why the Phillies didn't do more to address the bullpen this summer lies with Orion Kerkering. That's where it is. Orion Kerkering. I just saw a tweet from Thomas Nestico, who has a Stuff Plus model that I really admire, and he has Orion Kerkering's slider as the best pitch in baseball, bar none, the best, the Stuff Plus wise at least. I don't think that closer role is going to be up in the air for too long. I don't think Orion Kerkering is going to slot into it this year. just because, obviously hasn't gotten off to a normal start to the season, and also is going to take some time to adjust to MLB hitting. But I think down the line, that's what you're looking at. He's gross. He's absolutely filthy, especially now that he's throwing two versions of his fastball with the slider. I just think he's going to be the guy. I think that's the way that things are trending. And I also think that you really can't ask for a much better duo of Jose Alvarado and Jeff Hoffman until Kerkering's ready to usurp that role. In terms of your ninth inning fluctuation guy, depending on what part of the lineup you're in.
And I believe Kerkering's back Monday. Was it the 15th?
Something like that.
So
I don't have the exact date on hand.
Rockies, which is not a bad series to come back in.
Nope,
away from Coors Field, they're one of the worst teams in baseball statistically right now. And a series that we really should be looking at win and pushing on. Game 2, looking at the pitching, Zach Wheeler, 7 innings, 5 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, 6 hits. Again, just no backup at all. What was an offensively horrible game. 3 double plays, bases loaded in the 7th. Again, runners in scoring position. I think it was just the White Sox and the Rockies who have a worse record than us with runners in scoring position. Although we cashed in a couple tonight. But
they did pretty well with runners in scoring positions today, actually.
I think we were 4 for 9.
Something like that
was, which is a far better percentage than what it was last night. Brutal game last night. However, I shall get onto the bats in just a second. But game 1, 5-3. Turnbull. It's just Spencer Turnbull. 6 innings, 2 hits allowed, 6 Ks. In his 11 pitches, 11 innings so far this year, 5 hits allowed, 1 walk, 13 strikeouts, an ERA of 0.00. Wow. And everybody wanted Monty? I know it's early days, small, very, very, very small sample size, but this is huge. What a rotation at the moment we have.
I got a text early in the offseason that said something to the effect of the early reports on Spencer Turnbull are pretty negative, looking like this is not going to be anything substantial. Spencer Turnbull came out like 3 days later and struck out, what was it, like 4 over 2 innings? And got like 9 whiffs that in that one spring start that he had. And immediately I was like, okay, the delivery needs work in terms of repeatability, but like the stuff is filthy. That sweeper that he has developed is dangerous. That is a really, really good pitch. And I know everybody is going to be clamoring for Taijuan Walker to not come back because they want more Spencer Turnbull. Yeah. You put Spencer Turnbull in the bullpen at that point, that stuff is just going to get taken up. And when your bullpen is going to look something like Jose Alvarado, Gregory Soto, Jeff Hoffman, all the usuals, and Junior Marte, who's also looked really good, by the way.
I'm Pinto.
And then, well, I don't think Ricardo Pinto is going to be a mainstay per se. I think he's just taking that long man role, the mop-up role, while Luis Ortiz is down. But if you then add Orion Kerkering and Spencer Turnbull to that mix, and then you have 2 guys in Strahm and Turnbull that can give you multiple innings, both differently handed, that is a really good bullpen. That's a really, really good bullpen. And I don't think there is a single guy you could look at in that bullpen and say, this guy isn't capable of, like, maybe not closing the game, but coming into a game and pitching in a scenario where you need them to get some outs. And that is unusual for a major league bullpen, especially early on in the season, because usually teams like to keep a flex spot, right? So I'm so excited that the Phillies just continue to make strides when it comes to adding to guys' arsenals or maximizing their efficiency. This sweeper that Caleb Cotham and Spencer Turnbull have developed is next level. It's next level, and it is really, really good pitch. And I'm really, really excited that Spencer Turnbull is seeing the results that he is.
And also Wheeler's new pitch.
Yeah, the split. Oh my God, the split.
The split. Like, how effective has that been so far?
How you get a guy, a major league veteran, the second best starter in baseball, arguably, to just step on the mound and say, hey, could you start throwing a splitter? And he says, sure. And then people start calling it a 70 grade pitch. How a guy is capable of doing that
Yeah.
and locating it in the way that he's been locating it is beyond me. But it is just another thing to point to when you look at Zach Wheeler and say that this guy's a freak. He is an absolute freak. Zach Wheeler, it doesn't matter if he doesn't have his best stuff. Doesn't matter if he's not. It doesn't matter what day it is. Doesn't matter if he lost a fingernail zipping up his pants. He's going to come out and he's going to shove every single day. He's unbelievable.
I just pray to God and touch wood, Alex, that with all the pitchers falling by the wayside at the moment, that we can just keep that rotation healthy. And Zach Wheeler, if he stays healthy, he's a Cy Young candidate. I think this is as good a year for him, the way it's falling already, as any for him to be a Cy Young this year.
The incredible thing about what the Phillies have done, you look at Aaron Nola is case in point, but if you look at all of these Phillies starters, Ranger Suarez hasn't gotten a full season nearly his entire career because of visa issues, right? Chris Sanchez is a new addition to the rotation. But you look at all of these guys and you look at the infrequency of injuries they've faced, including Zach Wheeler, who was incredibly injury prone before he came to Philadelphia. His 5 years with Philadelphia, he hasn't been substantially hurt once outside of a fingernail. Outside of one fingernail issue when he was zipping up his jeans.
It's quite incredible.
It's not a coincidence at this point. And again, I will touch wood, but I've been talking to a lot of people about this. The Phillies know something, and they are doing something different. And it might just be that they don't have pitchers in the rotation that go out there and spam particular pitches, right? Like Spencer Strider is and listen, he's the best pitcher in baseball, obviously, when he's healthy, that is. It spams consistently triple-digit fastballs and a slider, right? Yeah. With a new curveball mixed in this year, right? It's the Jacob deGrom plan, yeah? But that spamming could be what is causing a lot of these issues. Everybody's going to point to a whole bunch of different things, but the Phillies don't have that. Phillies have guys that consistently mix their pitches all the time. They don't rely on pumping hundreds of miles an hour's worth of fastballs past these hitters, right? That's a very reliever-ish thing to do. I think the human body can withstand throwing 100 miles an hour. I'm not sure if the human body can withstand throwing 100 miles an hour 9 innings every 5 days. That is to be determined. But, the Phillies have kept all of their guys incredibly healthy over their duration.
And even the bullpen guys who are throwing over 100, they're very careful with them. They're not throwing them out. I know that they're very careful with Alvarado. I'm surprised Dominguez came in, but, did still not quite the Sir Anthony that we really know and hope he can be, but he's getting there. He just needs, I feel he needs game time. He needs innings, and keep building him up. Yeah. But they are being very careful with the bullpen. And actually, over the last 2 series against the Nats and now the Cardinals, they've actually been quite well rested. Our starters have gone 6+ innings. The bullpen's had some nice rest. Had a good rest yesterday with Wheeler and Pinto. Today, not too bad. Alvarado hasn't been used the last 2 games. Kirk needs to come back. I'm really, really feeling good about our pitching. Let's go on to the bats. Let's start with the bright spots. Let's start with Brandon Marsh.
Let's start
with Brandon Marsh. So far for me in these opening 4 series, the player of the team right now.
Yep, not even close.
Against lefties, against righties, he's doing it all. 7 RBIs already, along with Alec Bohm this year. The best friends, the housemates, both leading the RBIs for the Phils. But Brandon Marsh, considering he missed most of spring training with this injury, has just come out the blocks and is just up to 6th in the batting lineup now. He's like a man. He's fantastic. He must love these wet conditions. He always seems to come alive in these damp, soggy conditions. Must be to do with the hair. But seeing this guy, he's just full of confidence. And when I was in DC and I had those amazing seats next to the dugout, he is the guy, along with Stubbs, I've got to say, but he is the guy he's bouncing around that dugout every at bat, every time he's in there, watching the boys batting, he's joking around, he's laughing, he's smiling, he's getting everybody up. This is a guy who right now is at the top of his game, and it's great to see.
it is so huge to have such a good player be such a linchpin in the clubhouse. It really is.
Yeah.
And obviously Garrett Stubbs is he's the vibes officer, right? But
Oh, he
he's
is.
not a guy that his future is relatively unclear with this team in terms of, what happens when, his arbitration salary starts increasing, or maybe he gets too old to take on, backup catching duties, or, what if the Phillies want Rafael Marchand coming, and usurping that spot, but having Brandon Marsh, who is far and away been the player of the year thus far, be a huge personality guy in the clubhouse is just an added benefit. But I don't know. I am pretty decided that Brandon Marsh is really good. I think Brandon Marsh is really good.
I think, and his fielding's been good as well.
Well, he was not. He was a Gold Glove nominee in 2022.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And he only played left field like 200 some innings. It was like he is an outstanding defender, capable of covering center field, just in case. But primarily he's impressing at the plate. And I think that obviously still striking out a bit too much to what you'd like to see. But I think you are looking at a guy that is very capable of being this is a lofty comparison, but I'm going to go there, being the Kyle Tucker of this team, right?
Oh.
An unsung power bat that can really do it all. And is a very underrated hitter. You look at the Astros, Yordan Alvarez is the guy that everybody looks at and they're like, oh, that's a big bat.
Don't say that name.
Right, but that's Bryce Harper for the Phillies, right? But then Kyle Tucker hits 30 home runs a season and plays at a 6 WAR pace every year. I think Brandon Marsh is perfectly capable of that.
It would be huge.
It would be
huge if he could, because we need him to, especially while the rest of the big bats currently haven't got going yet. Marsh has already hit 3 home runs in conditions that just have not been home run friendly at all. A stolen base, an OPS of .942, an average of .333, gets on base. He's always on base when the runs come in. He's everywhere. He's absolutely everywhere. And
as long as he doesn't have a month and a half span where he goes virtually hitless and strikes out 100 times like he did last year.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember, he started the year last year unbelievably hot. The Major League Baseball main account was posting about him, which was crazy to behold. That happened. Then he went through like a month and a half of just absolute tumult. He was terrible for a good month and a half. And then his second half was really, really good too. If he can just avoid that massive month and a half long skid, I think you're looking at a guy that is probably going to put up a substantial WAR number for this team this year. And that's pretty big. And also to say, Logan O'Hoppe's doing great with Los Angeles too.
Yes.
So it's really cool to see, a win-win trade come through. That's been really fun to watch.
And Alec Bohm, without adding any home runs yet this year, and not the best of average, but in clutch situations, although he's got 7 RBIs as well. He comes through. But the striking out, the third strike looking this year is driving me insane.
It's
as much
crazy.
As the 7 RBIs are great, how many times this year? It's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I can remember a ton when I was out there alone where he's third strike looking so many times at close pitches you should be swinging at. The flip side of the two sides of Alec Bohm.
It's maddening, but I don't think that's here to stay. I think Alec has been for a long time. He doesn't strike out. I think he maxed out at like a 15% K rate last year, which is nothing. You're in a world where guys are striking out a quarter of the time usually. Alec Bohm does not strike out. But I think what we're seeing now is, again, this team is preaching don't chase. And so Alec is trying to follow that don't chase mantra, and he's just staring at, strike 3 a lot of the time. He just needs to treat every situation like it's an RBI situation. I think he just needs to go up there and start looking for a certain pitch and then just taking his hack. Because he can do so much damage when he puts the bat on the ball. But he's trying to hit it where it's pitched, and so he's always going the other way. And that's great if you're any other guy. But fielders position Alec Bohm to the opposite field. So it's not going to get you much if you start showing that you can't do pull side damage. So he needs to pull a little bit more, needs to look to do a little bit more damage, but I think he's going to be fine. I think it's going to be a big year for him.
And his defense is also, again, good. It's good defense. It's about average and plus at the moment, and that infield, in fact, the defense as a whole actually is really good.
Yeah.
And again, it has saved us round and pre-saved us a couple of games already this season already. Stott just looks, I mean, he was unlucky today with one, but not a lot gets past Bryson Stott. Turner, touch wood, is looking better. Has allowed an error or so this season, but on the whole, it's getting better. Bohm's been good. Rojas, just, defensively incredible.
Yeah.
And Cassidy's made a couple of good out. Okay, at home, Cassidy, the scoreboard thing. I don't know what's going on with that. Just get used to it quickly. But he's made a couple of outfield assists already this season. Just got to get used to that scoreboard. I think we all do actually. I don't know. What do you think about the scoreboard, Alex?
I don't have a comment. I think it sucks that they came out and said it's because of how high the payroll is. That's just so clearly not. Again, it's the same opinion that I have about these stupid dollar dog nights. And not the dollar dog nights are stupid. Dollar dog nights rock. But they came out and said, Phillies fans, it's your fault for throwing hot dogs on the field. Yeah. So now you have to pay an extra $1.50 per hot dog. Like, you think that's stopping anybody? It's not. It's not at all. If anything, you are riling people up more. So to say, yeah, we got rid of the out-of-town scoreboard for this stupid, LED mess because you guys are demanding that we run such a high payroll. BS. You can afford it. Stop. You're looking for more advertising space. Just admit it.
It's clear. But the BOGO thing was, I didn't even know it was a BOGO night. I don't think anyone did actually at all. I completely forgot until after the game. It's like, how was the first BOGO night? I was like, I didn't even have a clue it was on. But back to DC, actually, those seats by the dugout were incredible. I spent, and it was cold. It was freezing. It was the coldest I've been the whole time I was there. Philly, it was wet. It just wasn't that cold. DC was cold. So I spent more time watching the dugout than the game at times. And I tell you what, Stubbsy, like Brandon Marsh, doesn't stop. He's like the team cheerleader. Ranger Suarez is also so good to watch. Yep. He's always smiling. And he's always got that cheeky look in his eye. And
he's a schemer.
He's up to no good. I'm just watching him.
He's a schemer.
Him and all Latino players, they were the only ones at time at the front of the fence, the dugout fence, watching the game. Everyone else was trying to keep warm. These guys are up there messing around. Just the vibes in that dugout were unbelievable.
Yep.
And Casty's a weird one. He's a very much not a loner, but he doesn't. I don't know. He keeps. I
think when he's struggling, he is probably trying to stay in a headspace.
He really was. It was notable. Yeah. And, every time that he was the last at bat, when the innings swapped over, he wouldn't go back in the dugout. He would have someone bring out his glove and then go back out to the field. He was always the last man out the dugout to take to the field when they were fielding. And he just, nobody went near him. It was like, he would always be on his own. Like nobody would really go near him. Whereas Trey, Stott, Marsh, Bohm would always be together. Harper would get involved. The Latino boys would be all together, but Casty would just be like a soul, just sat there. And I don't know. It's like people don't want to go near him when he's in this sort of slump. And it was really interesting to watch. And one more thing, I did not realize until, and that's just me not even playing the sport much and not understanding the true insights of their roles. But Dusty Wolfen and Figueroa, their roles, they never stop.
Nope.
Like Dusty, we look at a third base coach when there's no one near him on the second or third bases, you just think you don't really know what they're doing. But when they're right in front of you, they are watching like a hawk everything that's going on, and I mean everything that's even when there's nothing happening, they're watching every single opposing player for every slight movement. Like I didn't realize how on it they are, and Dusty is in constant communication with the dugout, with the players, and he is watching them like he never switches off. And I didn't realize how intense the base coach was during a game. But it is
why the Phillies were so quick to extend him because they know that the minute, after he interviewed for the managerial opening and didn't get it, they were just like, "Hey, we're locking you up," because everybody knows if Dusty was left to the open market, he'd be gone. Look at Ron Washington, right? Ron Washington got sniped immediately. Like the Angels had a managerial opening, they were like, "Ron Washington, you come over here." Like
it was fascinating. And even between innings, he was in the dugout. He was constant communication with Figueroa, the players. Like he was pointing out to the field, pointing at opposing national players, like obviously saying something about them and their movements and their. It was just like, wow, this is a serious in-depth front. And Figueroa as well. He is in constant communication with the outfielders, with the defense. There is hand movements of going on. They just don't switch off, in constant conversation with Topper, with the players behind them, with the pitchers. Like you don't see it on TV at all until you're there. And just seeing their roles and what they actually do and how intense their role is. They neither of them miss an absolute beat. They are constantly watching every at-bat, new at-bat. They were telling the fielder, everyone where to go, slight alignments. Like, damn, it's like just the whole insight of the sport you just don't get. And I found that fascinating. And
yeah, it's pretty cool to watch guys do their thing.
It really was. It really was. And Dusty had to literally come on the field and grab Schwarber to stop him running to home on one of them, stop him at third base, because he would have been out. But it's just amazing how they know every single opposing player weakness, strength, and the judge of the play. And Dusty has made a couple of mistakes at times, but it's so rare, and you can see why. It was such an experience being in those seats. $50 on StubHub, last minute. I just couldn't believe it.
I can't believe nobody wants to go see a Nationals game.
Man, the game 1 and 2, their fans are walking out in like the 6th, 7th inning.
Yeah.
Like they were done. They were going home. Sunday was better. The weather was glorious. The weather was beautiful. And by the way, DC is a city, great city. I absolutely love DC. Everybody said to me, DC's great. You're going to love Washington. I was like, all right, we'll check it out and see how it is. I loved it.
It's the best.
Walked miles and miles. The metro system was brilliant. Everything was close by. I had an absolute blast. And okay, National Stadium, the yards, the Navy base, it's really cool. The stadium, it hasn't got much character, but it sort of fits in with the arena. And I miss the tailgating. Love tailgating. And for me as a Brit coming over to America, the tailgating is something that's a unique POV of American sport. So going into the sports bars before the game is just like a football match back here. Some people do at home. However, the sports bars over there are far better than the sports bars over here. It was a lot of fun. National fans were fun. They were all good-hearted, no hostility at all, except towards Bryce. But even that was in jest. Like they were booing him, but they were like pantomime boos. There was no intent there. Not like how we were booing Strider against the Braves. It was more boo, Bryce, boo. It was nothing there. But so many Philly fans down in DC. Absolutely loved it. It was like a Philly takeover. I would go back. Loved it. Phil's there in September. So you haven't been to National Stadium before, Nationals Park before, get down there. It's a real fun road series. It's different. My thing is, don't compare it to anything else, because it just sort of ruins the enjoyment. Well, it's not like, and I did that on the first day, it's not really like Citizens Bank Park. But then every ballpark and city is uniquely different. So you've got to sort of just go with it. And Joseph, comment on YouTube. Have you had a chance to respond to City Connect Philly uniforms? Let's get into that. Okay, let's get into that. So we saw the leak, and I didn't like it. I saw them in person when I was in Philly. Couldn't take any pictures. Wasn't allowed, even though they'd been leaked. And you know what? When I saw them up close and in the flesh, I was like, actually, these aren't bad.
Yeah.
And then I saw the whole outfit, and I was like, these are better than what they looked on the leak. And then some fans were wearing them. Actually, on that Friday when they were launched, some fans who I spoke to had bought them at Citizens Bank Park and then come straight down to Washington. And you know what? If you wear like a black hoodie underneath them or something, they look really good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting used to the font already. I've bought the cap. The cap's coming. I've DH'd the jersey. But but I quite like it. Alex, what were your thoughts on the City Connects?
I hated the jerseys at first. I hated them. I thought the font was abhorrent. But seeing the full look, I like it a lot better. I think the hats are awesome. I think the hats are probably going to be like a universal Philadelphia staple because it incorporates the Philadelphia flags, the Liberty Bell, all those things. But then it also is like Union colors, but it's a Phillies hat, and there's a little bit of everything in there. There's some Sixers in there, right? So like I thought that at first I wasn't gonna like them. Now I like them a lot better. I think it's cool that they are completely a completely different take of the Phillies typical uniform. Whereas like I was thinking about this with the Astros City Connect, they have the Space City orange and navy blue and all that. They're great uniforms, but I don't like that the color palette is the same. I would much rather you have a really out there color palette that's completely different from what they'd normally wear to make them special. So I love the colors. I think the coloring is great. I don't love the font. It's not that I don't love it. I don't like it at all. I hate it.
I appreciate it a bit more when I saw the explanation behind it, or when the video explaining different parts of it.
Yeah. That video was great.
Which actually was needed, and I'm getting used to it. I think by we're going to see it on Friday. We debuted, but I think after a month or so, I think everybody used to it. And actually, under the lights, I think it's going to look good. The matte helmet as well. I love the matte helmet.
Oh, love a matte helmet.
The pants are great. The caps are great. Under the Friday night lights on a summer's evening, I think we're going to get some big moments in those jerseys.
Underrated part of them too. The belt is really cool.
Yes, the belt.
The belt's awesome.
I
haven't seen really anybody talking about that. The belt is really cool.
But also the hoodie. I like the hoodies. I like the t-shirts as well. In fact, the t-shirts are really smart. I like the bubble hats.
Yeah, the t-shirts are cool. And whoever just said that it should have been Fanatic Green, no. It really shouldn't have been.
Fanatic Green.
It really shouldn't have been. I like the color palette, actually. I think the color palette is nice. I like that you get to kind of highlight that yellow is just like a little hit. And then everything else is, that blue and like kind of blackish color.
At the end of the day, it's a City Connect. Right. Like they tried to. By the way, Phillies had no say on these. This was all Nike and Fanatic. They sign it off. The Phillies don't have any say in this whatsoever. So don't blame. That's what people blaming the Phillies. Like, why have they signed this sort of stuff off? Well, they had nothing to do with this. This was all Fanatic, all Nike. But you know what? I'm growing to really like it already, and I think it'd be far better than the Mets one that comes out. I think Mets is this week.
Mets is the 16th.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that. I'm very interested to see that one, but I like it. Joseph says, I personally saw the venom in many Phil's fans, but I'll grow into love, much like Philly grew into embrace Fanatic. Yeah, I agree.
I could agree.
I'd give it a couple of weeks, and I think these City Connects will be. I think they're going to be like a slow burner. I think we're going to see, especially when you see them in the flesh. You see the players wearing them. Plus, if you get a big iconic moment in them as well, you know what? Well, we've got them for 3 years, so they're going to be here to stay.
Right.
But I like it. I'm looking forward to seeing it when I have it in person, which will probably be a better quality than what Fanatics do anyway. We'll go to some of your social media comments in a minute. I put a tweet out on Twitter and Facebook for your thoughts on the season so far. Quite a few respondents. We'll get to that in just a second. Alex, we've obviously just covered Brandon Marsh. Early season woes. It's the same as the last 2 years, but is there anyone you are really concerned about in that team so far?
Not especially. I think I am definitely starting to worry a little bit about Trey Turner on both sides of the ball. And yeah, he's hitting something like 286 or something like that. But those have not been incredibly convincing strokes of the bat. I have, the lack of extra base hits across the board is a little odd, and the just the lack of confidence. It seems like Trey Turner goes down in the count every single time he steps to the plate,
Mhm.
and that is definitely concerning. I I thought that it was remedied. He looked unstoppable in the second half of last year. I thought that was remedied at this point, but it still looks like there's a bit of a lack of confidence with Nick Castellanos. It's completely different. It just looks like he's guessing a little bit and is trying to fight what his instinct would be,
Yeah, yeah, he
which
does.
is
Yeah.
unfortunate. And I think that's why he's so frustrated, because he's hearing one thing and then he's seeing bad results and all those things. As far as everybody else goes, I'm looking pretty okay. I think JT Realmuto looks great. Better than he has in quite a
Overall, yeah.
while to
Overall, I'm
start
happy
the
with
season.
JT.
The swing just looks so much more balanced. I'm not too worried about Bryson Stott either. I would like to see him take a little bit more. I don't like that he's turned into this kind of more aggressive hitter. I really preferred the Bryson Stott that was really patient and that grinded out at bats and kind of gave himself some time to settle in and see a pitch that he likes before he swings wildly at it.
Yeah.
So I would like to see that change a little bit, but overall, nobody I am like over the top worried about. I think that all of these bats are going to come to life, if you give them
Yeah.
enough time.
Rojas is not 4 hits in this series. I know 3 of them came in
The
game
last
1.
person I'm worried about is Johan
However,
Rojas.
he's making contact. He's having some good
Yeah.
at bats. And you know what? In DC, I know he didn't get a hit, but he got some quite deep counts. And his timing's it's his timing that's just off now. I feel he's getting there. I thought the 3-hit game in game 1 against the Cards was a sign of that as well. I think he got a strikeout today, but he's striking out a lot less than he was in the first 2
He's only
series.
struck out like 6 times this year.
Yeah, it's just he's just off now, and he's starting to make harder contact with the ball as well, especially this last series.
It's not his timing. I think personally, or it might be, who knows, but I think personally, it's the pitch selection. I think he's just picking the wrong pitches to hit, picking the wrong pitches to swing at. And I think that is a big part of what is going to make him either successful or not at the major league level. Are you working yourself in the favorable counts? And then are you picking the right pitches to hit? Because he is not a guy that is going to, blister the baseball. Obviously, hit the hardest ball of his career in this series, but he's not a guy that's going to consistently blister the baseball. He's a more, hit it where they ain't kind of guy, and sometimes punish a really bad pitch. And primarily, if he can put the ball in play, 75% of the time, he's probably making it to first base.
He's getting on base. Yeah.
He's going to. And honestly, he hasn't looked overmatched. It just looks like he's making poor swing decisions. So hopefully that remedies itself. But again, this is not a guy you're going to see slug 400 in a season, probably.
No. And, all while the Phils are winning, I think he gets more time.
Oh, I think that he is absolutely going to see the field as often as possible.
Yep. And his defense shows it. Again, already he's made this season some spectacular plays. He's already going to be a Gold Glove candidate. No doubt about that. But I just feel he's getting there. And I feel his work's paying off. And I think Topper is right, because I don't think he gains much from AAA, because the pitching is vastly different. He needs major league pitching.
That's
while
what
the Phils are winning, he'll get that time.
That's what people just don't seem to understand, is that this is the next step in his development. This is not, hey, you come up. He already had, the 50 some games last year where he came up and, his bat was ready because AAA, he already had that moment, right?
Yeah.
He already hit 302 last season. Now it's up to him to adjust to how pitching is going to adjust to him. And that's what, makes or break a major league career. But at the same time, he is not a guy that is here for his bat. His bat was not what he was lauded for, right? He was lauded for his glove. He is the best defender in Major League Baseball, probably. He has the best fielding tool, probably, of anybody in the sport right now. And people were like, then why do guys, go to AAA before they come up to the majors all the time? Because other guys don't have the best glove in the game already. Like, that's the reason that he is on a major league roster now instead of, waiting for him to hit at AAA and then putting him on a major league roster, right? He's ready to go in every facet of his game other than his bat. So he needs that bat. He needs playing time to develop that skill. So it's going to be painful for a little bit, but eventually things are going to even out.
They are.
And I'm really, really excited.
He's got an RBI. He's got an extra base hit now this series as well. Another one today. I know Carl Schwarber hasn't had the best series this one against the Cards. However, I thought the previous three, he's actually started pretty well. Schwarber's approach has been better, getting on base more, stealing bases. Obviously, we know his power comes in June when the weather warms up. But in the meantime, he started a lot better than what we saw in spring and last season. I'm quite happy with Schwarber. It just needs to come together, and hopefully this series with the Pirates, the weather looks like it's going to be nice this weekend in Philly. It's warming up. Pirates have started hot. They usually do. They did last year. Remember, the Pirates went on a fantastic run to start last year and completely fell away. But I still think the Pirates are very, very beatable, especially at home. Just looking at some of your comments on social media then. Obviously, we asked your feelings on the starts of the season. And everyone's pretty much singing off the same hymn sheet. David Crawley says a rough start, too early to be worried yet. Sandra says not panicking yet, but definitely concerned. Can't wait to have until June just start hitting. The bullpen is iffy. I don't really agree with that. I think Brogdon's stats inflate everything. All the bullpen.
I think Connor Brogdon allowed. Let me tell you before
he allowed 2 home runs yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah. I just want to see how many of these earned runs for the pen belong to Connor Brogdon, and the answer is 6 of them. 6 in 2 innings of work,
which massively inflates the bullpen stat. I mean, you take that out, and it all comes down.
Brent, and one inherited runner, I should say. One inherited runner.
Yeah, that's true.
The man on second.
Brett says meh start to the season, but that has been the way of this team, especially after a playoff shortened off season. Exactly. Way too early to panic. Marsh has been pretty consistent. A tad worried about Nola. I don't know. I think Nola's been Nola so far. He has not been sharp. The cold weather, but Nola never goes well in cold weather. He never has. He's always started not well at all. And as soon as I saw the weather today, I thought this is just not.
He's also
Nola weather.
2 of the games that he has pitched have been today, where it was raining the entire day, and then one of them was that blisteringly cold evening. That
was there.
That it's just not baseball weather.
No, it really wasn't.
What are we gonna expect? Are we going to expect people to go out in half degree weather? Like, usually we're used to 70 and it's 35 outside. Are we expecting guys to go out and throw 92, 93 miles an hour, or at the same that they would throw when they're at peak health? I don't think so. The same has been for Zach Wheeler, for Jeff Hoffman, for everybody. Everybody's velocity is down, and it's because it's freezing and the weather is gross. So I'm not worried about anybody. I think it's all fine.
Justin says if Marsh is going to play every day, which he should, and he probably will start now batting 6th in the lineup, we don't really need both Pache and Rojas since they are so similar. Which one do you move, and what can you realistically get for them? Well, Pache's got no options. So he would likely be, traded or released. And I think that's the way, if Marsh is going to play every day and they're going to stick with Rojas, unfortunately, and Pache would be, if he had options, it would be great. It really would, but he's going to get snapped up by someone else. But realistically down the line, especially when trade deadline comes, do you see realistically Pache is the man they're going to move on from?
Yeah, that's always been the case. It was always the case that they were going to stick with Johan Rojas, and that Pache is, played his way onto the opening day roster. But I would argue, the redundancy has always been there. And barring some implosion by Johan Rojas, which implosion meaning like he goes hitless for like 40 at bats, there's not going to be a change in regime here.
I agree.
It's not going to change. Pache is probably going to. I would imagine he gets traded. I don't think he has a.
And we could probably get something decent back from him because he has got a bit. Tell you what, somebody could, like the Marlins, could really cry out for a Pache.
If the Phillies could get something back for Connor Brogdon, I think you're going to see the Phillies get something back for Christian Pache. I think if they can manage to hold off until, say the trade deadline, right? You saw what these kinds of guys can get you. These kinds of guys that, they're serviceable bench pieces, and then maybe if they see more playing time, they turn into something, right? Because that's how the Phillies got Gregory Soto. That's Nick Maton, Matt Vierling, and Donnie Sands turned into Greg Soto. Pache is not valueless, but I think if they can hold off to the trade deadline or something like that, they probably will, just to kind of maximize the option of trading him. We'll see, but it's always been a redundancy to have Pache and Rojas on the same roster. I think they're just waiting for the right time.
Absolutely. Joseph says most people on the socials are voicing their displeasure only to make themselves feel better, and clicks. It's still vastly too early to criticism against the players. Yeah, let's just wait till it warms up. And it is frustrating. Obviously, it is frustrating watching the Phillies right now. But when you peel it all back and go, well, the weather's terrible. This is the Phils. This is what they do. But the schedule, Pirates, Rockies twice, but the Reds again coming up. And the weather getting warmer. The Angels on the horizon. The schedule's not bad.
This Pirates series, what I will say from a pitching perspective, looks like it should be batting practice for the Phillies.
Let's go into it now. I was just about to quickly get
into great. Let's do it.
Let's quickly look ahead. So it's Jones versus Suarez. Jones hasn't started too bad. 1-1.
Jared Jones is really good. He's really good. They have to be patient against Jared Jones. That is the one pitching matchup that would even remotely worry me in this series.
Have you seen the Friday lineup? Bailey Falter versus Christopher Sanchez.
Yes.
Where that's going.
But have you seen who goes after Bailey Falter the next day?
Gonzalez?
Marco Gonzalez.
Who,
if you think Bailey Falter's 89-mile-per-hour fastballs are going to be hittable, Marco Gonzalez's 86 to 87 shouldn't be too much of a problem. They've stacked two soft tossing left-handers on top of one another, both of whom have no stuff to speak of. This should be, I think they might maybe get out-dueled tomorrow. Jared Jones is really good. If you are a betting person, smash the over on whatever Jared Jones strikeout number is for tomorrow.
But the way the Phils are striking out right now.
Oh my God. Jared Jones is really good. He's really, really good. I think he's probably the best pitcher on this Pittsburgh staff right now. But then those two lefties in the middle of this series are dreadful. And the Phillies right-handed hitters should eat that up. And then in terms of Mitch Keller on the back end, Mitch Keller's looked terrible to start the year.
Yeah, 5.29 ERA.
He's been really hittable. And I don't think that will continue. I think as he settles into the season, maybe things get a little bit better for him. But
after Sunday,
right now he's looked really hittable. So I think ultimately Phillies have to be patient with Jared Jones, and then they have to feast on these last three pitchers. But outside of that, I think Philly should win this series.
Gonzalez started with a 2.45 ERA, but it's a low sample size.
He's dreadful.
He's
dreadful.
They should eat up that. It's 11 innings pitched, 2.5 ERA, 6 strikeouts. But the Phil should eat that slow stuff.
He is dreadful.
Carl should be all over that.
I mean, he is a lefty, but at the same time, I don't think I'm worried in the slightest. I think you'll probably see Whit Merrifield get into one of these lineups. Maybe over Johan Rojas ? But I think the Phillies should absolutely feast on this Pirates pitching, particularly because David Bednar has also just looked not great, and the Pirates bullpen is really not anything to speak of.
I'm surprised they're 9-3 so far.
They've been hitting like crazy, and they've gotten some really good starts out of guys like Jared Jones. They've also, like the other day, I watched Mitch Keller's entire start. The Tigers just could not plate runners. Like Mitch Keller, I think he gave up, I don't know, 12 base runners or so, and the Tigers just couldn't get runners home.
The Orioles, the Tigers, they've played. Who else have they been facing? Who else?
I mean, nobody very good.
Yeah, and the
Except
Orioles,
except for the Orioles,
another postseason hangover team, aren't they?
Well, the Orioles have been off to a really slow start in their standards. I think they are probably one of the best teams in baseball.
We played the Nationals, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. But past, David Bednar, Aroldis Chapman has looked really good for them.
O'Neill Cruz, as Corey's put there in the comments,
of course, yeah.
Got to keep him quiet.
Terrifying. But you also have two of your lefties going in this series, and then you wrap back around to you get Turnbull on the third day, and then you wrap back around to Zach Wheeler. So I mean, theoretically, it looks like the Phillies should win this series to me.
What's the prediction? At least
I think they win 3-1. I think they win 3-1.
A 3-1. I'd go 3-1. Yeah. And that would put us 2 above 500 going into the Rockies series. Then we can hopefully start kicking on. I mean, April. It's April. The Phil's in April. It never goes how we predict it. And Rockies are a bit of a bogey team, but they are
always
out of course field. They're dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
Again, another one where lefties, you just have to watch out for, Nolan Jones and Ryan McMahon, I think, has given the Phillies a lot of trouble in the past, but they are just bad. They're bad. Their bullpen is holy cow.
Blackman's still there, isn't he?
Yeah, Charlie Blackmon is also still there. Their bullpen might be the worst bullpen we've seen in years. It's really bad. Justin Lawrence is the only good pitcher in that bullpen. Past that,
if these next two series are sort of really ideal for us to really kickstart the season proper now and get.
But because of that, that it's not happening.
Exactly.
So.
Or Phil's going a mad tear and take top of the division coming out of that Rockies series in our next road trip. But let's go the other way and say we'll be in fourth behind the Mets and Nats in true Philly April style.
Of course.
Alex, thank you so much for coming on, buddy.
Oh, but of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. That hour has absolutely flown by. Guys, thank you for watching. Incredible numbers on the show today. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for getting involved on the comments as well. It's been great to hear from you guys. We'll be back very, very soon where hopefully it's another series win and the Phils are properly now kickstarting the season. We shall see. It's April. Who knows? But guys, thank you for watching. The Phils have won back-to-back road series. Is this the start? Now they're at 500. Let the season start now. Bring on the Pirates. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.